Let us call the annual meeting of the Board of Directors of the Oswego Authority to order.
That's tab AMA, right? Yep.
Got it?
Tab AM.
So
Yes.
we will do a quick introductions, starting with Mr. Scriver.
Bill Scriver, Board of Oswego.
Tom Schneider, board member.
Stan Delia, board member.
Kitty Macy, board member.
Connie Casamento, board member. Pat,
Pat McMahon, port employee. Donnie Smith, Maritime Museum member.
Mercedes Niece, Eastleigh White Maritime Museum, Executive Director.
Kim Natoli, port employee.
Debbie Godden, port employee.
thank you. First item, motion, approval of the prompt payment policy pursuant to section 2880 of the Public Authorities Law, Exhibit A.
I'll move it.
Stan?
Oh, you say yes?
He had a motion by Stan.
Okay.
Okay, you did second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay. Any questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion 2402, review and approve the adoption of guidelines for awarding of procurement contracts pursuant to section 280-2879 of the Public Authorities Law, Exhibit B.
I'll move it, and after a second,
Good. Discussion?
on page 4, item B, are these numbers established by
New York State Public Authorities Law, yes.
when is that time they revise it?
Every time we revise law. It is kind of interesting because the Public Authorities Law say one thing, yet we now have under the New York State contract with 4 different numbers.
I mean,
So they're technically in conflict.
they're ridiculously low for authority levels for, you know,
But we follow
the
them.
executive director and supervisor of development maintenance.
They are low.
Okay.
But
So is this a change in what we had under our own procurement?
You did set a standard a few years ago that increased my ability to go and up to $25,000. So, you know, you're correct, Tom, it is sort of,
Costs have,
Yeah.
risen 60% in that time, and, in some, in a lot of these contractual bids.
All right.
I guess,
Do you anticipate the law is going to change again soon?
you give me a pair of some dice and I'd love to give you my opinion.
Yeah, I got it. I got it.
It's the New York State Legislature, how do I?
That's what it is.
But
All right,
we do follow these, so.
yeah, no, I know.
So it's, yeah, part of the public authorities law, right?
Right. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Who seconded
I did.
Kip did. Motion AM 2403, review and approve the Port of Oswego Authority property disposition policy pursuant to section 2896 of the Public Authorities Law, Exhibit C.
That reads, pursuant to public authorities law, yes.
Yeah, again, I'll move it, and I have a question after a second.
Okay, that's second.
All right, Tom,
On
and for discussion.
the third page, under reporting requirements, annual report, corporation shall publish released annually an annual report listing all property consisting of real property of the authority. In addition, include a list and full description of all property consisting of real property disposed of. Is such a report produced?
Yes,
Harris does that.
in the process of reporting to Harris, I do that.
Okay. You know, to probably, you know, just be informational for the board to see that
Sure.
report.
Oh, there's one, I don't wanna make it, but this is public authorities law, but also we're governed under section, of public authority law, section 1340 through 1362, 63, I believe, of public authorities law that is carved out for the port. The one addition to this is on property, we have to get a Supreme Court justice to okay getting rid of
A
property.
disposition,
Yeah,
yeah.
disposition.
This is just a report of property, and I just want to be informational to the board. See how we have it broken out,
That's a good point.
you know, the description of the property. Be good information,
It helps the learning curve.
yeah.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Motion AM 2405.
I'll move on the investment policy.
Oh, wait a minute, I missed one.
Uh-oh, what'd you miss?
AM 2404, I'm sorry, I skipped it. Review and approve the Port of Oswego Authority investment policy pursuant to section 2925 of the Public Authorities Law, Exhibit D.
I'll move it noting that
I'll
we
second.
don't really have any complex investments.
Does that mean we can invest in the video?
It,
2023?
Equity securities would not be permissible
We didn't.
under this policy,
Any other discussion?
but you can invest in True Social.
That's tacky today, anyway.
Usually negative revenue.
Oh, no. All in favor?
Negative.
Opposed?
Excuse me. Thank you.
Now, we go to motion AM 2405, review and approve the Port of Oswego Authority mission statement and KPIs, which is Exhibit E.
Yeah, this is very brief. I'll move it again, but just comment that, you know, we had discussed getting together, you know, conducting some sort of strategic session, because these were last revised in 2017, probably
Yeah.
wouldn't reflect very well on our strength.
We have a second?
Yes, I.
But I think they come in here again next year, 2017.
Yeah, I have a comment later in executive session.
Okay.
All in favor? Opposed? Passed. Appointments and elections. Number 7 on the agenda, appointment of legal counsel for the fiscal year 2024-2025, Exhibit F.
Currently, we have Bruce K. Holstein as
Yeah.
our counsel, and Von Chenig and King is our labor law attorneys.
Yeah.
Do we need to add any others that we've been working on?
Well, they're not
They're not.
Well, there's
listed
nothing on here that says who
The-
it is.
The challenge with the language here is that this was written under the idea that the general counsel would be in a more appointed position that in board meetings, which, you know, happened in the past. Fennel, we had like Shanley, and when we decided to move to, you know, representation that had more background experience in working with authorities, Ms. Kay Holstein. Legal officer just sounds like a weird title to me.
So how do you change that?
It's a-
What's your bylaws?
It's our bylaws. So
Yeah, you have to
at
address,
some point.
that is something that we could address,
reviewing the bylaw.
and yes, which is probably necessary.
But it's good practice to always have a
We'll wait till John gets back.
governance. Yeah,
he's good.
The last time the bylaws were updated, Terry handled them, that was like 2010
yeah,
or something.
and you pretty well.
All right, one-
This is one area that you really need, I mean, the bylaws really need to be, you've got a copy in your, right, you saw the bylaws, they really need to be looked at and be done. I don't even think some of them are in accordance with new legislation that's been passed, so.
Yeah, and it's probably something that the governance committee would, use legal counsel to help with.
Absolutely.
We wouldn't be aware of where a bylaw perhaps in conflict with any, current legislation, statutes.
Well, I have no problem with this one, it's general enough to give us some,
General effort, counsel. Yeah, but let it be noted, as Bill indicated, the council that we primarily rely on for governance matters. And it's,
It took me only a couple of years to get you to pronounce that, if you remember.
Yes.
First brought
I do. Okay.
all right,
Do
so,
we move second vote?
we can
I
second
second
it.
it. We haven't voted.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yes. All right, number 7, appointments and elections, appointment, I'm sorry. Second bullet under number 7, election of board of officers for the fiscal year 24-25. Pardon me?
It's exhibit G.
Well, that it defines the duties of the chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer, which are 3 officer positions.
Yep,
I think we have a bad time for us to, look to change officers as long as all are willing to, still remain in those positions.
I can do one more year, I'm gonna be 80. Presidents get in trouble when they're 80,
Some people get in trouble when they're 74.
well, I survived that, so. At any
Do you know what I was talking about?
yeah.
Well, okay, well, thank you.
Number 7, 2.
We're not talking about you, Brent. Connie knows exactly what I was talking, who I was talking about.
Yeah.
Our secretary treasurer is.
Me? What?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
When Ron did left.
Well, you dozed off once and that was it.
Yeah, that's probably it, okay.
Or that was a meeting you weren't at.
Yeah, suddenly. What? Okay.
Fran and Connie, Kit.
Okay, so,
I think the rest of you need to get ready.
and here we've got to, increase the size of the board, but it would be a very challenging way to vote, because we only have 2 members who are, not one of the 3, and, maybe some slight conflict. Disregarding that, I would move that Brandon Wright remain as chair of the board, that Connie Mel remain as vice chair, and Kitty Whiteman.
Macy.
Macy, that's the easiest one.
Kitty Mays.
Macy, Kitty Macy.
Remain as secretary treasurer, and Stanley, and second
Second.
that. And I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Excellent.
Any other business? Motion to adjourn? Tom?
Second.
Stan? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so here we are. Okay,
Is there any business that, you know, there's been some times, I think, where we've kept our guests, you know, waiting and executive session, we get them waiting, is there a way to reroute the agenda to take care of their business?
this we can.
Chairman always has the, under Robert's rules, to move items around. Chair decides to go with public, with this first, she gives the privilege of the chair.
Yep.
Right, so we're gonna call the regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the Port of Authority to order at 4:56. And we will do attendance again, Bill, thank you.
Subscriber Board of Swing.
Tom Schneider, board member?
Stan Daly, board member, still.
Kenny Macy, board member.
Kelly Cosmo, board member.
Matt McMahon, port employee. Don Smith, Maritime Museum trustee.
Mercedes Nice, H. Lee White Maritime Museum Executive Director.
Kim Natoli, port employee.
Debbie Godden, port employee.
Okay, thank you. Who are we going to?
You guys go to the H. Lee White Museum, because.
There we are, there we are. I did do all this twice. Thank you for the board for your help here. We will, under new business, address the H. Lee White Maritime Museum procedures for total solar eclipse Monday, April 8th. Marissa, are you going to speak to that?
Yes, just, it's quick. I do have some handbills that I'd like to share with you all. These were created in partnership with the other museums, just to let people know what the museums are doing during solar eclipse weekend and what they're not doing. So we are spreading these out downtown so that folks would know. Basically, you've probably heard about the solar eclipse.
Really?
It's coming. It's going to get worse with the publicity and whatnot. And so we are going to be open special on the weekend, you know, because we're supposed to have hordes of people in town and they've got to have stuff to do. So that's the concept between everybody participating, being open and whatnot. But on Monday, we want to curtail basically the vehicle traffic on the pier because we're anticipating a lot of people coming down on the West Pier, want to see the eclipse because that is a prime location. Although it is in the featured location, the fort is and Break Bank Park are being, you know, promoted by the city and whatnot. But I think people normally come down for the Harbor Fest fireworks, so they're comfortable with it. But we don't want vehicles coming down, trucks, cars, after 1 o'clock because of safety. Because if you have all these pedestrians and then you have vehicles coming down, it could be a problem. So what we'd like to do, and it was a nice suggestion that you guys have some barricades that we could put at the end of the entryway. I've spoken to Heidelberg Cement. They are going to be curtailing their traffic at noon because they don't want to be engaged with all the traffic that will be going on in the community and our whole region, frankly. So for safety concerns, you know, they're shutting down the schools, bus traffic, all that. So it's really nothing you have to do except provide a couple barricades. We're happy to put them up. And we won't have our building open. We are providing a porta potty. And then we will have staff and volunteers at the museum to kind of keep an eye on things for security purposes. I don't envision people, you know, climbing the fence or anything like that. And, you know, obviously the weather's iffy, so that could affect a few things. But everyone's hoping for some turnout of some sort. And we just thought, if you don't mind putting out a couple barricades for us. Sort of what we do on Harbor Fest Saturday. is to, again, curtail the truck and the vehicle traffic. Usually Heidelberg closes up early on Harborfest Saturday, so that we don't have this mix of pedestrians with the vehicles. So that's really just the thought on that, is
Yeah,
a
we
safety concern.
report, about a month ago, I had Jim Meyer, our maintenance man, go into a build barrier mode. We have dozens of barriers, brand new, all sprayed, in anticipation of the eclipse. They were done at no cost. We used wood we'd gotten from last year's aluminum influx from rail cars. Jim Meyer did a fantastic job. They were really, really nice. And we're gonna deploy them all over the place as we need to. So there's a couple already dedicated to your facility. And Pat's got Heidelberg, the manager, Scott, they're gonna put them over there early. And we're gonna have a security person, by the way, at that dock because of the Global Marina, the new one. We wanna make sure nothing happens over there, so. So you'll have one of my security people in a Jeep, with a light.
Well, that's fantastic. It's just, I don't know how, people are gonna get back and forth. But if he wants to use our restroom, I'll be there, I'll let him in.
That would be appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. And we might have some cheese and crackers too, so.
Well, I told pack a lunch, but that's, and supper too.
How long is the eclipse gonna last?
It's gonna take forever.
It's like a 3-hour thing, but the
Yeah.
actual
3 hours
total, the total part is like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh,
But as it
2 minutes, 3 minutes and 39 seconds.
Yeah,
Yes.
it moves in, as it
Barricades
moves
right
in,
there,
that's what
archway.
takes the 2 or 3
Yeah,
hours.
right
And
outside
then
the archway.
it sits there for like
Perfect.
3 minutes and then starts shifting away.
And so, from what I understand, all hotel motel rooms, Airbnbs are full.
They're full, yep.
Too bad we didn't have dome floor up, I could put some
Cots
cots in there. Make some money.
Okay. Well, good luck.
Yeah, I mean, who knows, right?
Do you need to vote on anything, or is it done?
That doesn't require a vote, I don't believe.
No?
No, anything with this level is within my,
Okay.
this
No,
business.
Don't go away, Merce.
Because we need you for stargazing.
Yes.
Page for the Wright Marine Museum, stargazing event on Wednesday, April 24th, 2024.
Yes, so, a number of years ago, we used to do stargazing down there when we had before the Shinneman Planetarium, actually, it was quite a while ago. And the professors at the time would bring their portable telescopes, and then we would have an event that, the public, it wasn't a big event, it's only like 25, 35 people at the most. It'd be adults and children, we had Boy Scouts, and they would have an opportunity for a lecture, and then they would get to look at the stars. Well, the pier is nice and dark behind the black fence, so if possible, we wouldn't go far. And Bill's already aware of this, and he's already let us know that there may be some
No, there will be construction.
so
I
we'll
have
have
to-
to discuss whether it's possible.
I have to contact today, and I apologize, I didn't bring it up to the construction company. We're actually starting on April 2nd or 3rd.
Fourth, I thought you
Fourth,
said in your
fourth,
email.
with equipment and materials and steel. I'll reach out to WD Malone. If it's possible, that wouldn't be a problem, but I wanna make sure that, they're gonna have a temporary fence up. I just wanna make sure that temporary fence is up before you get there. If not, there'll be equipment and steel and all that stuff there, and it'll create a safety hazard. So if they have their fence up, I don't see an issue, but you're not gonna have much room there like you had before, because that whole end is
Yeah.
gonna be,
The most, it would be just beyond your sheds.
Yeah, and that's
That
where we would
Just
be.
that little
We don't go walking all over the place
But I
because
wanna
it is
clear it
dark.
with the contractor first.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So it would be, not a good idea to have the contractor be upset with all these
No.
people running around, when they have all their stuff over there.
Yeah.
So let me get a hold of, Ryan and Nick and see if that would, and outside of that, just fill the form out, I don't see any issue.
Great.
They
And
just have to have Kitty's signature.
if anyone would like to come,
It's in the form, you passed it.
We'd love to have you.
You have
Okay.
someone with a telescope?
yes,
Where do I get the form
she
from?
brings
You
the
don't.
telescopes from the
They
college.
have to fill out a
They're
form for
portable,
property
they're
use.
mini
I
telescopes.
have to approve it,
So
and it
sh-
says the chair of the planning and development, and then you have to approve it.
Okay,
Yep.
Because
Oh,
Sterling
did
Nature
you
Center has a
email?
man coming with 2 telescopes.
you
If
his
you
phone,
want
will
his
you?
name, I'll give it to you. He
It's
just
on the
does it.
website.
He brings his
Form.
telescopes.
Okay. That would be great.
But you
You know,
decide
she's
first.
pretty new. She's been there 2 years and she's very
I
much
have to
into
recommend it.
community outreach, which is
Right.
There's
lovely.
certain things I may not
You know,
recommend.
not just because of
I
the
have to recommend it.
eclipse,
Like I
but
have to go through
because,
all the,
hey, it's good science, you know.
insurance and all that stuff. I-
Navigation, celestial navigation, all that.
Those are not really a board thing, but you create policy, so I have to do the screening, and then you guys can approve it.
Okay.
Well, actually, you can approve it.
sure, just
You're like
send it
a,
to
you're
me.
like a dictator.
Oh, I'm not.
Wait a minute, we're going in the wrong direction.
Only
Yeah,
on
we are.
one.
Wrong one.
But let me check.
You're all welcome to come.
That's the
We're happy to
stargazing.
have you to the stargazing and the solar eclipse if you're on our side of the river and don't feel like walking, just, you know, knock on the door and we'll certainly let you in. And if the weather's decent, we'll go up on the decking, not on the schooner, but there's stairs that go up there with the little deck, wood deck. And we might be up there unless we get blown off the pier. Which last week, we had no internet until this past Monday because of the terrible winds that we had this past week.
They were pretty bad.
They were pretty bad.
Well,
So,
good luck.
you know, it's always interesting. She's young and so she brings a nice energy to the program, so.
We should bring some of our young people over there.
Well, she actually brings over college students. I have to feed them, so, you know, pizza's a big plus on that, but we're happy to have them. So,
Thank you, Mers.
yep, thank you.
Okay, does that complete what you need here tonight?
Yes.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay, good.
You guys get to go.
Thank you so much.
Any other business?
Are we squared away on all of our grants?
So the paperwork is at the state. They received it because I sent it certified.
Good.
So now it's going through, because there's multiple people that have to sign it.
Okay.
And as soon as we get that A-OK, you will know.
And we at the board fulfilled our obligations.
Yes, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, my hand got tired signing all those papers.
Well, that was the kicker, is we signed copies and then she said, oh, actually I need more copies, so Bill had to re-sign and
Crap, huh?
it's, I don't know, paperwork.
But it's
What can
good
you
that we
say?
have Pam Dowd as the notary. so
Yes,
let's
she
have
was
her.
wonderful.
We didn't have to go outside, she just was able to.
That's great.
Yeah, very nice. Well, thank you so much. Have a lovely evening.
Let me tell you, when I was city clerk,
You get your jacket. Because you'd be a little.
I wished I had.
You're gonna, thank you so
I
much.
had signed the letters,
Thank you,
bonds,
thank you.
20 copies.
Well, thank you so
And I
much.
made the mistake of using
Yes, you
my
too.
full name, Constance M. Casamento.
Where's
Yeah.
this?
Yes, signed by him.
Do you have glasses?
I do.
Okay.
Some?
Oh, yeah, I got a lot of them.
Oh, you're doing your own.
Yeah, I picked them up from the building.
Well, I'll take whatever you have and
Well, not right now, I
disperse
gotta
them.
distribute it. I'll count
Get
it
your
by this
people.
extra item.
Okay, thank you.
Nice, nice.
All righty.
Thank you.
While we're waiting for,
Well, they're gonna weather forecast as far as what they feel the weather's gonna be like for the eclipse. Are we
It's a
too
ways
far
out
out
yet. I think it's too far out yet.
Yeah.
I think I forgot
They're
myself.
predicting in past it'll be a 60% cloudy that
I
time
forgot myself.
of the week, but we don't know.
Yeah.
It's too far out.
While we're waiting for Tom, Tom gave me a gentle reminder that all of the folks here at the Port of Authority in Oswego are sending our best wishes and prayers to all those people who were affected by the demolishment of the Key Bridge. It's sad, and we hope the best for them. All right. We will move on to approval of the minutes from the last regular meeting of February 12th, 24.
I'll move it.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Dan, and Kit. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Tom, we just did mention of the Key Bridge.
Oh, okay.
Number 3, administrative operational report, which is Exhibit B.
I'll keep it as brief as possible, you can ask me questions if you like. Aluminum test of large ingot occurred on February 13th, it's the 90 rail cars for the large ingots for Novellis. We have them free on site now from the return trip. We're planning to unload when CSX can be on site, which hopefully will be next week. I gave you the agenda that American Great Lakes Ports Association gave to our legislators and committees with my trip as a member of the Secretary of the Association a couple weeks ago in DC. It went over very well. Again, we had a meeting with Secretary Buttigieg, but more importantly, I had dinner with members of the MURAD, which gives out the PIDP grant, that's the Port Infrastructure Development Program. Namely enough, they're both X-11 Bravos, for those who are not military, that's infantry. After the dinner, we had a really nice, long conversation. So, about how we always go to the field in the rain. If it's rain, we have to go to the field for some reason. Very nice guys, and I think the after-dinner discussion was more valuable than the meeting and a dinner discussion, because I really got out the points of why Great Lakes Ports really needs development funds to upgrade our aging ports. So I think that went very well. Our restackers due on the 29th.
I mean, this is a policy agenda, it's very informative to have. I'm seeing a lot of items here that are really stalled. When you say it when it's good, and Congress that has challenges moving any legislation and appropriations. How do we feel about these things getting done? And the Great Lakes,
Ports Association?
The Great Lakes Authority was, I'm glad you brought it up, was a very key point, and that's one that is state-driven. They have funded that, okay? That will be created. The concern of the association is very clear on this one item, is that the Great Lakes Authority is not another environmental organization like the other three existing on the lakes. This is like the Rural Development Agency and the Tennessee Valley Authority.
Okay.
It's economic development, and it's aimed at the Great Lakes ports, meaning that this is supposed to create industrial development, create jobs, infrastructure development in the areas. It does have a little bit of, environmental, but the overwhelming desire of the Congress is to make this a group that generates economic development. Each governor has an appointment. The president will appoint the executive director.
So
It's
this
each
is,
governor, right,
this is for the items
right here.
to stand up the Great Lakes
yes,
Authority.
yes. That, I talked to
Stand
Nan,
up by, it
Yeah.
means get it going, it was authorized
it's
by law.
appropriated, yeah, there is an appropriation for it, right, and they funded it. So it will be stood up, we anticipate this year.
Are you in favor of the
Yes.
Lakes Authority?
Yes.
Doesn't-
Well, I'm in favor to the point, as I have discussed with the governor's office and the governor, that the appointment be someone more more in line with an economic development individual. Because this is not designed to be another environmental group. You've got 3 in the Great Lakes now that deal nothing other than environment. This is, as I said, like the rural development, the Northern Rural Development Commission, which gives out money, which this will have, to develop water systems, infrastructure. We actually got a $780,000 rail spur grant to that track up over here as you come in. That was done through them. That was not environmental, that was economic development. Nancy Cafter, I did have the meeting with her, and if you saw on Facebook, the co-chair, which supports a Republican and Democrat, this is, as much as you get along, it is, both parties support it, because both parties are in the Great Lakes, is they wanna make this, because this is the Rust Belt, they wanna create a commission that addresses the direct causes of that, and that's upgrade, create new industry, support the current, like, the steel industry we have, and also more importantly, the ports. The ports, I keep saying this, are the economic engine in Great Lakes. If you're on the Great Lakes, even in New York, we developed, is the last report, over half a billion we have economic development here at the port. We support the engines, and you can't argue Detroit. I mean, in Michigan, they're huge steel, they make the steel for the United States. So this is to support them. And our concern, and why we really focused on this, is that the governors will be appointing a representative. We have to make sure the governors are in line with why this was developed. It was not, example, I'm trying to think of the commission. The Great Lakes Commission deals almost 99% in just environmental. I mean, water, sewers, fish, algae bloom, that's all their concern is. And the governor appointed all DEC representatives from the Department of Environmental Conservation. Well, there's no counterbalance to economic development, there's not. All they do is deal with that, and there's 2 other groups. This group was stood up not to do environmental work, but to do industry, commercial, infrastructure development, and support, right in there, it says support the ports of the Great Lakes. Because Nancy Cafter wanted this to be a group that grew jobs and turned the Rust Belt into what we were once, an industrial and job-creating machine for the country. And I guess I've done a good political.
And then what is the process? I mean, it's political, it's to try to get more leverage than.
My question was gonna be is how, well, it looks like we'll have equal standing in New York as one of the 8 states that border the lake system. But I was just wondering if you think whole power away or power be shared equally, or
New York's always gonna be disadvantages to the other lakes, other lakes. We're the only port on the Great Lakes on Lake Ontario. It's not river, it's, Ogdensburg's a river, Albany is a river, they're not involved in this.
so
Is that the other
Seaway
lakes?
is not considered part of the Great Lakes system?
It's part of the Great Lakes system, but this was stood up for the Great Lakes, the 5 lakes. Because they're actually, as I said, there's actually a Great Lakes Task Force that they focus on Great Lakes issues. That's who stood it up. Nancy Capter is co-chair of that. So what we are concerned with, each port that's within the Great Lakes is trying to lobby their governor to understand that this has got to be an economic development group, not an environmental group. I have, as you know, made that comment to the governor and her staff a number of times.
She's a
We'll
big
see.
environmental person.
We don't need one on. We
I
need-
understand
yeah,
that, I
yeah,
understand that.
Yeah, we need someone, like, someone who is familiar with economic development.
So economic development would assume that the authority that are able to invest money.
Will have appropriations events. I believe that they were discussing $30 million, starting out with $30 million that would go towards grants that they would administer. So it would be kind of like another PIDP grant, another marine highway program that you would be eligible for, and it would be broken up with the 8 states. Now, in saying that, New York has to appoint someone who understands, number one, the federal bureaucracy, understands the Great Lakes system, which is the 5 Great Lakes and ports, and someone who's gonna advocate for money to be equally distributed throughout the lakes. And, you know, we're always gonna be at a disadvantage to Michigan and Ohio, because their ports are bigger and there's more of them. But I think I made the governor, I made my point clear to the governor that, you know, a little port of Oswego went from 2017 to being way down on the list to like the 5th most economically powerful port on the Great Lakes, and that she needs to take that into account, that we need someone who will be a strong voice, not just someone who sits on the commission and, you know, has lunch and, you know, you need
You
someone.
spoken to the governor or the representative?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm official.
Everybody up there to listen, including her across from there.
Okay.
I made my points clear nicely, that you know, Tom, I'm very good at diplomatic. I diplomatically said it, and let's see what happens.
Certainly very favorable towards economic development, particularly in upstate New York, Central New York region. Okay. Where is that GLA at this point? There's someone, you know, chair position yet, moving it forward, trying to get the board established?
The American Great Lakes Port Association?
No.
Okay.
The Great
Oh,
Lakes Authority.
That we're there, it's in legislation, we're waiting for the president to appoint executive director. Once executive
Okay.
director and the legislation is appointed,
Uh-huh.
then he hires staff,
Yep.
and then each governor has an appointment for the commission. So that will be a full stand-up, and then they'll be issued money to distribute. But they have to have the full board first appointed. Well, they have, the president will appoint executive director, and he stands up the office and staff, and then you have the board of directors, just like this, you have the board of directors. And then they'll move it from
No, I
there.
understand. No, we were in the process of this.
Hopefully we will.
We're better than we were 2 years ago, because 2 years ago, there wasn't appropriation and funding. Now it's appropriation, funding, and authorization to appoint the executive director. So it's, I would say by the end of the year, we should have an actual commission sort of there. Maybe not all the board appointed, but there should be somebody you can email.
I see $33 million in there, that's a one-time, or is that gonna be their annual
That's a
budget?
stand-up money to start it. And then every year, they have to go through what they're doing now. And it's important because it's in the, what do you call it, not the continuing legislation, the agreement.
Resolution.
Yeah, to fund the government, it's in there, because it was appropriated in the budget, so they've agreed to that. So it's not going away this coming year.
Okay,
One is, and the Great Lakes piloted, so yes, the importance of pilots, I think that would be challenging to not have those skills fully funded.
Well, we don't, actually, the pilots aren't funded.
Well,
They're funded through, each shipping company that has
yeah,
required.
it's a competitive nature of having to utilize the pilots who clearly are highly trained and highly compensated, and
They're administered by US Coast Guard, and the Canadian Coast Guard pilots are actually the association, a monopoly.
yeah.
And their rates are set by the US Coast Guard yearly. There, as you see in our thing, we have an issue with the compensation being continually increased to the point where it's become a burden on shippers now to ship through the Great Lakes. The Coast Guard is not taking into account that these people only work basically 9 months a year. They're paid over, was it 420?
440.
Yeah, $1,000 a year. This is an added cost on every shipping company. Pilots throughout the east and west coasts are not at that level, and there's more of them. So this whole system needs to be reappraised and needs to be changed. But we've been putting that in since I've been here, going on 15 years, and it's been something.
Where the pilots usually board entering a port or?
No, they will,
seaway?
it depends. They will board by dockage, or they will be, they have actual pilotage boat. They'll pull up alongside the boat.
I mean, when do they normally, when is a pilot engaged?
It usually is in the first sets of locks. They have to bring it into the lake, and they may go off the ship if the ship is in the lake. Let's say you're going through Lake Ontario, and it's gonna go to Montreal. Well, then before Montreal, they'll board to bring it into the harbor. Some of them will run it all the way through from the outside of the Mosley Dam, Eisenhower Lock, and they'll go all the way into Montreal. It just depends.
So it's locks and ports. Do the ships come into this port?
We have pilots, yes. If it's a laker, meaning the laker is within the system, like say, like Evans Spirit, that is a Great Lakes ship that does not need a pilot. It's Canadian flag, they don't bring it in. If it's a saltwater vessel where the pilot does not normally come into the harbor, they require, under their insurance and under Coast Guard regulations, they require a pilot. That pilot is supposedly supposed to have the skills and knowledge of the harbor. So that's why they're required. This is example, like in Baltimore, there was a pilot on that
Yeah,
ship,
I believe so too.
so.
Did he survive?
No one on these ship was hurt.
No one was hurt?
It was
Just
just
the
a
people on the
bridge.
bridge.
Yeah. Okay, just whipping through here, Restacker's gonna be out, I'll let you know on that in a month. Next board meeting, Micron Steering Committee, I attended that, nothing new on that, you probably read in the paper.
How many
NEPA,
people sit on that?
at least 30, it's like almost everybody. I
Bill,
just said,
I have a
listen,
question. Back on the reach stacker, bids going out, this is the one where it's like 940,000 and we're subsidized about 790,
yes.
in that ballpark. Okay. Okay.
And I don't wanna make this long, but I just got, I signed the NDA with Novellis to start the final phase of the review for the short sea shipping Novellis, so we'll see how that turns out. Army Corps of Engineers, DC in conference, Section 107, is not gonna happen, but it's still a hot issue. I had discussion with the Brigadier General of Army Corps when I was in DC. They realize that the cap is unrealistic. They're trying to get the Congress to amend the legislation, not just for us, but for every port on Ogdensburg ran into the same exact issue.
the cap in
Yeah.
authorized fund?
Yeah, what happens is that on section 107, we went to the second phase. We had the economic original phase, which they said this is a benefit to the nation to have it deepened. The next was the actual, let's do test boring and create a budget. What happened was when they did the test boring, they found an inordinate amount of hard rock in the harbor, which would have required blasting. That then blew it over the $10 million cap for them to do it. That cap has existed for 2 decades. The cap is unrealistic because of costs, okay? So they realized that, and that was my discussion with them. There was 4 people discussing things with them. I had the section 107, which affects us, affected Ogdensburg, so I could talk on those. It needs to be, they realize it. They actually have submitted a request to Congress to have the legislation amended to increase the cap. But you can see what's happening in Congress.
And this harbor maintenance fund, which is supposed to be funding some of that work, or?
If they find it, it will fund 80 or more percent of the actual fund. It all depends on what needs to be done and what political clout we can bring into bear. The harbor maintenance fund is ships that will dock here. It's kind of like an airline, you know, you pay a certain percentage to FAA to run screening and all that stuff. Ships are the same way. You pay a certain percentage of that over to Army Corps. They have a fund. It's overfunded. It's over $10 billion overfunded. What's happening is why we're getting a lot of break wall projects, $35 million, is that the Congress last year, no, I take it back, 2 years ago, actually put in the legislation. They have to start spending down the overfunding, and they have to start catching up on maintenance projects. This break wall was not funded for 3 years under the previous administration. So what they're doing is they're catching up for lost time. In fact, they're catching up for lost time. We have one large break wall project this year, and they're trying to have one tail onto it this year. They want to have a contract to start later this year, store material, and move into 2025. So, and then after that, they're putting out a bid at the end of this year for 2026 to redo the east break wall. Where the dolos are, they're gonna finish that one. So they're pushing as much money out as they can, as quick as they can. But there is now coming an issue in the lakes. There aren't enough construction companies, water, marine construction companies to accommodate that work. But that's another whole issue that will take me an hour to discuss.
Just wanted to, so this harbor maintenance trust fund isn't caught up in general funding and?
Nope, it's a lockbox. Remember,
Yeah,
it's a lockbox.
okay.
Huh?
Gore.
Yep.
Okay.
It's actually not like Social Security, it's a lockbox. It's appropriated and funded only for certain things. And that's harbor maintenance, harbor deepening, all that stuff. That's why I made, and Buffalo, by the way, was with me 100% on this discussion because they realized $10 billion in the Great Lakes is a lot of money. And harbor deepening, you could double that, 20 million, and they got the money. So engineers just like to build stuff and do stuff, so they're with us.
Thank you.
Let me shoot down solar. I'm 99.9% sure I'm closing the port at 11 a.m. It's gonna be impossible for people to get out of here, what I understand. So we're gonna close at 11 a.m. We're not closing in the sense of the port. Security will be, if it's Gibbons, will be at the marinas. It will be on site. I'm gonna offer any employees, and if you're welcome as board members, to come down here and see it. There'll be glasses and stuff, and you'll be able to park within our gates. I'm not guaranteeing you'll get out anytime soon, but we'll see. You know, we're gonna be here till after probably 6. I would say it's supposed to end around 4:30, the partial. So I would assume people start getting out of Oswego. So some of us are gonna try to get out, well, I don't wanna say that. We're gonna try to get out another way, but we'll see. Security will be here, and we already have plans for it. There'll be barriers up. The only thing I have an issue with, and it's not an issue, we've been asked to open up Fitzgibbons for cars and people. My concern with that, and I haven't, your input may be necessary, I don't have a big problem with it, but if the city advertises it, we'll get more people than we can handle. And I only have one security guard up there. We have rail track, we have equipment, we have rocks that kids will get on and fall and get hurt. We can't have them on the grassy portions of it because they'll rut it all up. It's just, I'd like to do it, but it's like there's no plan. I can't say 20 cars or 30 cars and we cut it off at that. And if we cut it off, let's say we have the security up there, right, Pat, and we cut it off, what happens when more people wanna come in? I mean, now we're the bad guy. So, it's,
So what are you gonna do then? Are you just gonna put a padlock on the whole place? People can still get in.
well, they can't drive in.
No, but they can take their
Well,
chairs.
we're not gonna say, you wanna come stand there and look at, no problem, we just got somebody up there to make sure you don't do anything.
Okay.
Like get injured or hurt or walk on the rails, and, you know, that's fine. I'm talking about they want to use the park cars up there.
Oh,
Cars,
Do you mean in
the
the
Fitzgibbons block.
section that sometimes used for the ball field, or do you mean by the?
the ball field section, I don't want them in because of it's grass. And it's April, and it's gonna be wet, and then we're gonna have issues. We're talking about the concrete where the tower section, not the tower section where the blades were.
Yeah.
It's all concrete, it's a lot of property, and you could easily fit 40-ish, 50-ish cars in there parked correctly. The problem I'm having is how do we control it? I have limited staff. I'm gonna have 2 longshoremen on through if they wanna work, you know, the normal shift from, I'm closing 11, but I'm paying longshoremen to be here just to help us out here. Up there, it's gonna be an issue.
If the city's requesting it, why couldn't the city police come in and set up?
Well, I have to
enforce
discuss-
barriers and allow them to manage the safety, and then just make sure that you have some added binder.
You know, do they have enough policemen
I'll
to,
try. I already sent the email out and asked
is
basically
they're gonna have
for
them
it.
down at right back,
Yeah.
Rice
If
Landing?
it's request of the city, I just don't see how work can bear the cost and the liability.
Right.
Well, I'll give the mayor,
And from the Nukes in
Yeah, they
November.
would,
I gotta talk to John about it.
In the afternoon,
Later.
it gets a little crowded out there, traffic coming west from all the planes out there. So,
Yeah, I have no,
We could put limited
Real
space,
knowledge.
have to have a reservation. We could do that.
please, oh, don't, you'll create a
We'll
thing.
do that.
Okay, don't do that then.
That's a hassle.
You know,
said no.
I'm just wondering why, when they have all that area over by the fort, I mean, all those open grounds and parking over by Fort Ontario, why,
Wet,
you know,
it's
wet,
wet.
so we're talking.
They're gonna use the parking area, and they're gonna close down the road, you know, Fran, by Fitzgibbons, they're closing that road down. But they're gonna allow their parking lot. Now, people can walk on the ground, but there's no, gonna be no parking on the ground. And the issue we're gonna have, we're putting barriers up at the RV park, because we think people just wanna go up there and park.
Oh, yeah.
If they wanna stand there, I have no problems, where are they gonna park? And, the Broadwell people have sold out all the rooms, they're gonna, that whole area's gonna be, the roads are gonna close down. So, I'll take the suggestion to the board, I'll contact the mayor. If they'll provide me police or DPW to help control it, I'll
I would
open it
actually
up.
say, I'll hand it over to you, limited section,
Yep.
it's your responsibility.
I'll talk to John about
You
the
don't have,
insurance
you
on
don't have
it.
the resources. It's really the city then that should find grant.
Yeah, I like that idea, Tom.
I'll call the mayor tomorrow. Other than that,
We just don't have the resources.
well, I'm running all our resources just to protect our property
Yeah.
at the moment.
Nor, do you have, that doesn't want to get into altercation, we have, I find back at the parking lot for the movie theater and on Thursday nights when, the farmer's market, we have somebody out there trying to monitor the parking for our customers till 5:30, and those people are ready to fight them every Thursday.
Okay, the rest of it is my report. On the reverse side, I'll just talk about when you have the resolutions.
Okay.
All right.
So the passenger and the traffic on board,
They're on the agenda to be
Yep.
accepted.
take a moment just to recognize the effort put into those and the success. Those type of grants don't get put out on their own. There's work in the grant preparation, and there's work behind the scenes to have your grant recognized. So congratulations on
Yay.
that success.
There's also education.
Yeah. That's only five on the side, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Madam Chairman.
Thank you. All right. Administrative financial report, primary and
Yeah,
subsidiary, I'm sorry.
So there's a lot there, and it's the 11 months ended February 29th, 2024, sorry, April 28th. That we still have it in here on the cash position with the reverse position.
Yeah, because that was already, it was already
Yeah.
done, okay, yeah.
So Stan pointed out, about 5 minutes after the package went out, that the beginning balance and the ending balance are reversed on the cash position.
And it's just the
It's just a
The
heading.
title at
It's
the
the
top,
heading.
not the
numbers
numbers.
are fine. It says ending balance on top, to be beginning balance, and it says beginning balance.
So
balance.
beginning should be in the other column.
Correct.
Yes, they're just,
It's just the column headings. Rather than, with everything that's on the agenda, including the budget, do a deep dive, I'd rather do a deep dive on a 12-month. But, certainly, the cash position shows, the decrease that's reflective of, just the slower business season in 2023-2024 fiscal year. It's also reflected in very low amount relative of receivables, but also of payables. And, all that comes back around in the income statement, which, shows a significant decrease over the, very, very good year of 2023, but remains ahead of budget, with gross profit being 6.7% or $230,000 above budget, and then expenses 6.5% above budget. The net of all of that is a net ordinary income of versus a budget of $207,000. So you're 9.6% ahead of budget for net ordinary income. It gets a lot more complicated when you look below the line in other income expense because of the grant traffic and the large amount we had associated in the budget for FEMA DR 4348. What was that?
FEMA 4348 is the high water damage from, and that's the east and west terminal projects, the east that completed this past year, and the west that went out to bid and is due to start.
Today was our first meeting on that start. It's starting on April 1st.
So that's
As far as the project.
That 5.2 million in the budget anticipated that money being appropriated by now, but it hasn't been.
Hasn't been started the project.
Right.
So we're starting this
Oh,
project.
because you reviewed it,
Yes.
submitted reimbursement.
Yes.
And so, I'd like to go through it more at the end of the year, but we made profit, we were slightly above budget, profit before depreciation and amortization, so cash profit. We'll review that more in March year end.
And can I just make one point? If you, I just asked today to have Pam go over a metric ton that we handled. Metric ton is all our cargo. That's what I look at as far, you make profit on anything, but cargo is cargo. In 2020, if you took 2021, exclude 2022, because 2022 was a huge amount of windmill projects. And you add in 2023, so you compare 2023 to 2022, or 21, we had a 26.6% in cargo in 2023 opposed to 2021. So I'm saying that outward flyer of 2022, where we had all those projects, windmill projects, that was extraordinary. But if you just look at our line, we're increasing cargo handling. So I mean, even last year we had no windmills, 21 we did, but we're increasing cargo. So that's sort of the matrix that I look at, is that, you know, your little graph line on normal cargo is continually going up.
And this is the primary driver of that in that period, aluminum.
It's aluminum, it's grain, it's potash, and it's what we call heavy lift projects, not windmills, but heavy lifts that we get continually. And we're anticipating this year. In fact, I just gotta do another call on some items that I gotta call tomorrow morning.
Where are we this side?
Don't fork is going up in a month.
Great,
I'll discuss that in executive session if you wish.
thank you, that's fine with me.
But, Madam Chairman?
Okay.
You know, I take questions on the financials, but otherwise I move them as presented and do a deeper dive for the year end.
I have a question. Someday, at a future meeting, I would like to have you give us, because I mean, I can do calculus,
Yeah.
I cannot do these sheets.
Yeah.
I need to have somebody
Yeah.
show me
Yeah.
a visual on a visual.
Yeah.
One day you could just give us some.
Absolutely.
We still, when Fran comes back, I still thought we would have that meeting where we take either a day or a half a day, bring in a third party to talk about our goals and stuff, and then you can have a general board discussion of it, that we have like, you know, maybe breakfast and lunch here, we spend some time. Fran had mentioned it, I had mentioned it, when before Amy Tressler left for Florida, we were supposed to have a meeting of the board, it's not a business meeting, but to, you know, look at the comp plan, look set goals, all that stuff. So, you know, when you come back, Fran, if you'd like, I can help set that up.
Yeah, I thought, we actually talked about some sort of a trees. retreat somewhere that we could sit and we could discuss all this
Yeah,
and
I
really
think-
take a,
yeah.
Going,
I
but-
don't think you want to get dragged down into the financial discussion on that, because there's some fairly complicated stuff on the balance sheet, that are really, it's non-cash accounting and accrual method accounting, changes to accrual method accounting, such as the capitalization of leases, and then pension plan accounting, which is very complex.
I'm getting it. Thank you. Okay,
Did you make a motion?
well,
You need a motion to accept,
February,
motion,
327.
2402, exhibit C1, C2.
who made a motion?
did you,
I guess I did.
Second.
Stan? Any discussion? Questions? All in favor? Aye? All right.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. Thank you. Chairman's report?
all right. I just want to thank Connie, Bill, and Tom for their time. And I thought, and this is with the attending the council meeting, it was actually a committee meeting in regards to the resolution by the mayor to have that 15-foot of median removed. And that went up for a committee discussion. And I asked all three of the board members to be there to help represent the board. And the results, it was just excellent as far as representing us. I think Connie and Bill speaking did a very good job and explaining why this was necessary. And I appreciate the fact that Tom was there because, as everybody knows, Tom is, has been in the business community and with Pathfinder Bank and is very recognizable. And really has a very good level head and knows the parties involved. So I wanted his presence there, but our director, Bill, did a wonderful job. And I was very disappointed, though, at the results and really surprised that not one single counselor on that committee forwarded the resolution and for council vote, which would then mean every counselor would have to vote on this. That did not happen. What didn't happen is no one even moved the resolution. So it sat there in limbo. And the only excuse that I heard was safety. There was a safety concern which was brought up by the Broadwells and was mimicked by the counselors. And there was no really good reason because our Teamster drivers that come in are very highly trained. They go through hours of safety training. They're escorted by state troopers and with people on walkie-talkies, and they drive less than 5 miles an hour. But I did pick up that really what their gist was is not what that resolution was asking, but they wanted all truck traffic stopped. And if nobody picked that up, that's really what they were asking for. They didn't want any truck traffic. And it just so happens that we were just asking for heavy loads that may only come out once, twice a year, 3 times a year, just happen to get thrown under the bus on this one. So that was disappointing. I don't know why the Teamster unions didn't come down on them because they're basically calling every truck driver that goes through the city unsafe. And if that's the case, then why don't they close down First Street when they have farmers market, because there's trucks that go by and there's pedestrians that have to cross the road. Many more pedestrians, and there are unruly children that can't be controlled by their parents, which was the argument, but it is what it is. was disappointed in it. I don't know, I did talk with Bill and Connie a little bit about this afterwards, and I did ask Carl Rode really to get back with me about an engineering design that may help us on this. I'm not gonna talk about it in public session. And also, I asked Bill to ask our engineering firm about our means of egress straight out East First Street instead of the turn, and that also could be something that could be considered as a way out. So we'll try to solve this issue, but I just really want to commend my board members for representing the port so well there. And we'll move forward in these discussions in the future. I really have nothing more to say about this.
Brian, I was there in an observational role, and I would echo that Connie and Bill did do an excellent job in presenting to the committee. I don't know that it mattered what they said. It was a predetermined outcome.
At that point, I felt that the counselors had already made up their mind before they came to the meeting. But even so, I thought importantly that we were there and that you gave a very good presentation. So thanks very much for that, and that's all I got.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and I reiterate that Connie did an excellent job in her opening statement. She covered all the points there. I agree with you. It was their objections weren't even logical, so I mean.
Well, I'm just going to continue for the committee reports, executive committee. For the benefit of the board, the advisory committee made up of reps from the city, mayor, and our board. Our last meeting was here, and on February 22nd. And we invited the Broadwell group to give them the opportunity to share their concerns, legitimate concerns. However, well, the other things we did then discuss the plans that were considered from the meeting before, which were all way over price expectation. And at the end of that meeting, it was kind of a, I will say, lively discussion, somewhat contentious, but everybody got his or her point across. We realized at the end of that meeting that none of the three plans put forth by the city engineer or Jeff Hinterleader or Carl from CNS was going to make it. So after that meeting, Fran and Bill talked with Carl. Carl came up with the fourth and final consideration that we were brought to the committee meetings that night. That final, I don't know if you folks have seen this, but this final project was to take off 15 feet on the north end of the island, and even the tree stayed. And take out the bump out in the middle, which would give the Broadwell group 2 new parking places, and paint the crossing in there, and put speed bumps in to control the speed. And that brought the price down to $30,000, from $202,000 for the most expensive, and finally our fourth one for $30,173, for which our port
We're gonna pay for most of it.
yeah, we were gonna give them $25,000. One counselor wanted us to pay for all of it, but anyway, that didn't fly, unfortunately. And so, Fran mentioned.
But it wasn't the price issue, the $5,000.
No.
No,
They
not
killed
really.
it. No,
I don't think so, I can't speak for them, but knowing that particular counselor, he's always concerned about money, I mean, and that's a good
But he
concern.
did say in the paper, even with that, he was never gonna support it.
Right.
I mean, we had Connie was in the conversations, and Kitty, that we discussed it with the county, and the county was willing to assist in it. It could have been very well taken with our 25 and county assist, it could have been done, but he wouldn't have supported it anyway, so it was not money, it was just that was a red herring that was thrown out.
Let me just say that there was potential for us to turn this into an opportunity at the state level, particularly through, the ESD and possibly the EOS, in that the downtown revitalization initiative's success in the city of Oswego is far more significant than all of the other DRI projects that were done under the governor's office. And that's why the governor chose to make the announcement when the water park was completed, because that was the last project within the DRI. And so if the idea was to create this more live, work, play, pedestrian-friendly environment for downtown, the considerations of the industrial corridor were taken into consideration, and particularly the building and the median. So, I think there is a desire to have, this resolved, that potentially, the state can contribute to a resolution that brings in alternative truck route out. What Fran mentioned earlier about East First Street in the long term, is probably going to continue to present challenges. And if we can find, provide the resources to create an alternative route out, that also takes into consideration the additional mileage for those who are seeking to get onto 81 South, then perhaps we can use this time and space to create that opportunity. And, I'd rather have further discussions on that in our planning sessions, but otherwise we're in the sort of ongoing battle that everyone can win if we establish an alternative route that isn't utilizing that revitalized downtown.
I did address that at the council meeting in an article I responded to in the Bell Times. The redesigned route, number one, would take 5 to 7 years. The reason it will take that long is I thought I explained it, and I would hope counselors would understand, but apparently they did not, that the road that we have connecting to Fitzgibbons is not designed for daily traffic. That, and it's not wide enough for daily traffic.
No, we don't have,
Right.
and I know that we have a long-term
Right,
process.
yeah. And what I tried to explain to them, and I just want to reiterate it on tape again, because I'm not discussing anything with the board you already don't know. I want to go on record again, because the governor's office does actually watch our tapes, is that when you look at the road, we have to extend that Fitzgibbons interconnecting road out further, Army Corps,
It would take,
Seekers, DEC, New York State Department of State, all are involved. We're talking 5 years to develop a plan. It took 5 years, actually 6 years, for East First Street to be designated as a truck route originally. It started in 1999 with the city, and having worked through the National Highway Act, State Department, New York State Department of Transportation, city engineering, port engineering, we had everybody involved in that. And then they had to issue a report in 2001, and construction wasn't even started to 2003. And that didn't have anything to do with the lake. Whenever you add the lake into it, wow, you're just, and then you got CSX Railroad, because we have to be involved in their rights of way. We have to get agreements with them. So, yeah, we may want to do it, and we could do it, but it's not a switch we turn on and off. And that was what I was frustrated with personally, as they weren't understanding that, yes, give us 15 feet so we can continue as we have for 20-plus years. I mean, that water park was built there. We were still the port in 1955. So, I mean, they built a water park right next to an operating port.
Well, you know, the governor did a ribbon cutting to designate that as a tourist area, but she did not designate the street as a
No.
tourist area.
No.
The street is still a DOT designated truck route.
Yes.
So there is an interface there that may not work.
You're right. The state had a very successful downtown revitalization, particularly leverage on a $10 million state investment. They probably got about an 8 times leverage on that of private investment, and that's really what they're looking for in any of those things, BRIs and DRIs. And so we have that success if we started, the dialogue where the resources were provided to us, and maybe even certain expedited approvals or just the long process. At least we would have a plan going forward that someone would point to and say, yeah, we're working on that. It's still 4 years out. It's here it is. But we still need the resources and the state frankly to recognize that in that very successful revitalization of downtown, which was defined as East 2nd Street to West 2nd Street, Utica to Lake. It was very successfully done. It's something that the state can point to proudly, but they didn't take into consideration the impact on this industrial port.
But it's not to do it.
Just to let you know, I did bring this up to, when I had dinner with the governor, what, a week and a half ago, I don't even remember what it was, a week ago maybe, is that I talked to the New York State Director of State Operations. I brought this up to her, and the Secretary of the Governor. They're gonna get New York State Department of State involved. So, there needs to be, with this new mayor, I think he supported this. I think that there is room for them to be involved. The big 800-pound gorilla in the room I did not mention was the facility that's going to be built 26 miles from us. There was one of the Broadwells made some statements were totally non-factual. I happened to talk directly with the company that's building that rail. It's not for material, it's for rock, stone. We're talking about enough concrete to fill the carrier dome, and enough steel, rebar, and pipe that there is no conceivable way, as Pat, we know, we talked to Todd from CSX, that they have enough rail car capacity in Northeast to do this. It's going to be done by rail, but not there. It's going to be done by truck, but not a lot. And it's going to be done by ship, most probably a lot of rebar, pipe, and steel. Because I hate to tell Mr. Broadwell, they don't make enough steel in central New York to do that. They do make it in Detroit though. And how do you get to Detroit? You have these things called ships, and they come in. So, I mean,
Yeah, let's just say that all of that combined presents an opportunity for us to engage with the
I was very impressed by the city engineer actually, Carl, creating a new route out that doesn't include that property that we keep talking about. We do need not to talk because it's not good negotiating. And I'm excited about that. That is,
I was talking about two little houses. I was talking about just two little houses.
no, actually,
That's different, okay.
yeah, I don't wanna discuss that. There actually is a route that the city engineer, and Carl, and I think that's the one we need to present to state DOT.
I just,
Yeah.
driving up there and getting a look around and using my absolutely inexpert knowledge on such things. How that might work.
And that route, has less
Well,
impact.
what was that little gravel way next to the rail?
That's ours. See, we own almost to 11th. And you see where the rail is? The city owns a little parcel. We could actually, if CSX would cooperate, which I know we could get, we could redesign a road going out that way and not touch that land we keep talking about all the time. That would be more, would be quicker, but the big block that will stop us from, you could do that, is the road connecting Fitzgibbons on the water. It is not designed for daily traffic, and at the volume that you would have, we'd have to go out, and you know how DEC and Army Corps, we'd have to go out. Originally, by the way, the board, there was no board members here except for, you were on the board at the time, you came back, is that when we built that road, we actually had a plan, Tom Sawala designed it, to expand it out. The reason we didn't, A, cost, and B, we couldn't get permits for it. We actually did put in for a grant for it, and the permits would tie us up for years. We've never been able to build the road. So we shrunk it down and built the road. So it's gonna take, and I hate to say it, expedite all you want, it's gonna 5 years of permit to get us out. Yeah, it just,
Absolutely.
and we can do it, it's just that it's gonna take some time. But what do I do with the 3 projects I have right now on the table that are over width?
That we need
Yeah.
to discuss. We need to discuss it.
I think it's another road trip to Albany, Madam Vice Chair and others, to go have a meeting with the governor's office. I can arrange that, and I think that I'm the record that keeps playing the same song up there. You know, you met with him, I think it's probably a time that we maybe, that I get a meeting and get up there, but, you know, I can introduce but others need to take, they've heard me so much, it's like it's song that keeps playing, the ear gets deaf. So,
Their engineer would like the idea that we adopted a final plan where we just paint that crossway.
Oh, he loved
'Cause
that,
he-
yeah.
That's what he told us to do.
New York, yeah.
That was in January.
Well,
Yeah, they have fire, they have equipment down there, they just do not do that because they have to clear streets, and streets are very important to them. There's, you know, people, they don't do that, they spray them, and that's it, and just put lights up.
Shall we move on, because
Yeah.
we have East First Street coming up again?
Yeah, well, that's gonna be real quick.
Okay. All right, so I was done, and audit and finance, Tom?
So the audit committee and finance committee met on March 21st. It really was a small committee consisting of myself and Stan, Bill in attendance, Pat in attendance, and Debbie, who provided us with a draft budget for the 24-25 fiscal year. The other item that we did was in accordance with the new policy was to review travel expenses with the executive director and approve those. We don't know how deep at this point we want to get into the the budget, and maybe that's something that we could do next week. Because I think it deserves, sometimes there's not really a lot in there. It's more of trend line budget with increases across the board plus the addition of known projects. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Debbie, I didn't want to say that, I appreciate that.
Well, the audit committee does recommend the budget. I think there was a small adjustment made after the meeting as presented in your packages, or perhaps not in your packages, but by email. And so what I would look is to, and you know, Stan and I looked at it hard. We had good conversations with Bill and Debbie on numerous line items so that we could get a better idea of it. I think that we're in a position at this point, you know, given that it's hard to understand the financials to begin with, that I'm very comfortable with the budget as presented. If anybody has any questions outside of the personnel line, we could field them now, and I would be happy to move the budget as presented, but then at a subsequent meeting, just go into it in a little bit more detail, maybe as part of an overall financial review of, you know, why the financial statements present themselves the way they do, why I believe that they're in line with the business activity that Bill reviews during his report, and you know, the process that we use in audit. I think there are a couple more things that the audit finance committee needs to do in terms of looking at and perhaps adopting some other policies, and Stan and I will follow up on that. Stan, do you have any?
Not really, I mean, there's a couple line items there that are questionable because of difference. Now, like repairs, building equipment, let me see if my finger takes me over to. It was projected this year for 113,000, and you've got it in your budget for 76,000. Quite a drop.
Where are you, Stan?
Yes,
Oh,
so
the,
he's on the
page
second
two.
Because we have a whole new fleet we have a whole new fleet of forklifts now, that are covered under warranty. Prior to that, we had a lot that weren't, okay? So we went with older equipment, we spend money on. Newer equipment, they're good for at least a year or two without a lot of damage or having to repair. And we've gotten rid of old equipment too. So we have a reduced amount of maintenance now that we need to dedicate to our fleet. And the new forklifts, they're under a warranty period, so unless we really run them into the lake, they're gonna be covered under a warranty.
And there's a
And
couple
no
of
tires, and also tires are expensive. The tires we have in the forklifts are gonna last on through this whole season, so we don't have to budget for replacements. And do you think anything more you got in that line? I covered just about everything.
Yeah, and we also have the Sani now,
Yep,
which
yep.
is new, so
Yep.
that has less repairs.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So we've replaced,
Yeah, and there's a couple of other things, but I understand that this is fluid. You don't need the budget transfer resolution, if you have to take money from one pot to the other, it's all together.
This budget is more of a guideline.
Yes.
We certainly hope that the revenues exceed the budgeted amount. And there are a lot of things in the pipeline that will help that. If it does, it will drive up costs on the personnel side, particularly the longshoremen. And the outcome will look a lot different. But the 23 budget 2024 budget through the 11 months of that fiscal year. That's pretty firmly outside grant time to the budget. So yeah, there are items that we move, and I think a lot of times some of the maintenance that has to be done, again, might be in the form of ability to secure grants. There's some asphalt stuff we could probably do.
Yeah, just give you an example.
Around the building.
Yeah, well, you know what, there was money in the budget under the last director for it, and he never used it, so. The bottom line is, yeah, when the Dome 4 is done, we got some asphalt coming in, we've already talked about that. We'll tighten up where we can, we'll do what we can. Bottom line is that, you know, this place is built in 1961, it's good, it's a never ending.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a great challenge, because it is an old property, that gets tremendous truck traffic, and, it's torn up, that's not even mentioning this building.
You're gonna try to get a grant for this building,
Another warehouse.
for the building?
We're putting a PIDP grant in for tearing down the big green building as you come in and putting a new warehouse in there, heated warehouse with Pat and I discussed is a portable gantry crane that's electric. That would place us in a higher scoring category because it would have green in it. I've already talked to Elizabeth and Carl. We're putting together the grant now. I'm just looking for his darn budgets. They're doing an analysis on it. I already authorized $1,000 for an architect to do a rendering of it because pictures aren't great for reviewers. So I think we'll be in a strong position for that grant, and it gets rid of that old building. What I'm more concerned about is this roof. And you know what, I've discussed that with Director of State Operations. This roof has been here, it's not, I've been here, but you know, a lot of this stuff, and I'm gonna say it, a couple directors ago should have addressed. And we've addressed as much as we can, done as much as we can afford on these years, like that Dome 1. It's knocked down, it's a silo now. That was a $15 million project. We're building Dome 4 will be done, grant, in a couple of weeks. That's something that now we'll have a good, solid building that we don't have to use the barrel building for anything anymore. We're making progress, but this progress is not,
It's been tough.
it's been tough. And it's got gray hairs,
There were years of deferred maintenance.
and we're biting off like
Maintenance.
Marina. Just give you an example, Marina. We just put in all new electric, new pedestals in the marina. That was let go for years. That's done. You know, there's certain things we try to do when we have the money, and we bite off as much as we can. And we're never gonna catch up to where we will be happy, but we're trying to. If you give me $30 million, I'll redo this port. It'll be gorgeous. Except it didn't cost $30 million to build it. Back when it was built, and we're still paying $50,000 off on something that will outlast me and you and probably my daughter and Pat's daughters and everybody's daughters, because we'll never pay that money back to the state.
One other line item I was curious about, under taxes obligation, Social Security employer share, going from 62,000 this year to anticipating 100,000 next year. That's $38,000 increase in Social Security, and the rate is what? 0.62. So that's really going to be widely increased.
Debbie?
The increase is based on the, sorry, I drew a blank on the words, on the cost for the payroll.
In other words, payroll's going up. that much.
Business is better.
The more business we do, the more people work as far as longshoremen, because they're on an as-needed basis.
Okay.
The staff here works full-time, but the staff outside, the longshoremen work as needed.
I mean, typically, I may be off a little bit, isn't the employer's share about .062 or something? So that's where,
6.2%.
that's quite a bit of an increase, but, okay. So for me,
All right?
Yep,
Do we have to,
I'm,
or
These do not need a motion. These are just reports.
no,
No, this one does.
the budget actually needs to be approved, it needs to be approved.
Oh,
prior to
wait a
the
minute.
beginning
Yeah,
of
it has to
the
be
fiscal
approved.
year.
I thought we had a separate,
Yeah,
except for the budget.
We didn't put a line on there that had that, because I
So
didn't know where it
this-
was gonna get
How are you
discussed.
gonna number this, Debbie?
It'll be an ad hoc motion, number 9 there, see ad hoc motions.
Yeah, it'll be,
It'll be
0327
327-2407.
Approve 2024-25 budget.
the
24,
27, 24, 40?
fiscal year,
407.
Our fiscal year ends in April 1, right?
March 31st.
Put a 7 in the blank.
Okay, sorry.
As presented.
As
You expected a
presented.
big crowd or what? We didn't know how long this was gonna be, you figured you guys were about to eat for a while.
So who, did you move that?
I
Kenny?
moved it.
Tom,
I
thank
seconded.
you. Can you
Or
second?
Stan did. Did you second it? No, the budget.
I will.
Stan? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah.
It's all for the audit planning committee.
Yes. Any more money to report? Okay. Governance?
John is not here.
John is not here, but did everybody sign his card? Anybody
Yep.
need to sign his card?
Everybody gets
Tom,
charged?
did you? Okay. Planning and development?
You already said that the whole meeting we had with the mayor was pretty much our planning and development to work on that.
That's right.
So we already did that.
Okay. So we're on to old business. None? On to new business. East First Street, discussion evaluating, return to original route, engineer draft review.
Fran touched on it, I've asked Carl to review the original route, which is the marina out directly to 104 Bridge Street. Preliminarily, he's reviewing it, it is possible, as we've used it before, he's just looking at widths and capacity. That would be used, we'll see, the state will give us the 15 feet. That would allow us to go directly out with over length items, permit once out of port, which we have several projects we're now bidding on. I will update the board as it is reviewed. But that was one of the options that we have with the city not allowing us to do that. And it's almost impossible to use the old road that we used in 2022. That we have to have, you can't just stop the port from doing international commerce. This port does commerce. And by restricting us, it does only disadvantage the city, it disadvantages the region customers. So he's gonna review that and I'll report back to you as he evaluates that possibility.
Carl said that during his research, he would determine if the DOT designated it as such. Has he made any comments on that?
Not yet. First we want to, of course, there's many things, we got a lot of projects going on right now. He wants to review the marina upgrades of the road that were done when the new docks were installed over there. he wants to review the load capabilities and the width. Width should be no problem. Load capabilities for a normal tractor trailer, we want to review. When he has that, then he'll design a draft plan, and he's reviewing that. And again, I won't get involved until it's a possibility, and then I'll talk to DOT at that point in time. I don't believe it ever was undesignated. It is a truck route, and we own the property, so we don't have to ask the city for anything.
I'm referring to East First Street.
Yes, I am too. It's not undesignated.
Okay. Right, our Global Marina, CNS Companies Engineers Construction Bid Review, that's Exhibit D, on the high side. Actually, a lot on that side. Who's reviewing this, you, Bill?
Well, first of all, we were here with bid openings. As you can see, the lowest bid was over $235,000. That's beyond any amount of money we have to do the project. And CNS, they recommended me that we reject all bids. I then reviewed their review, and I have provided you my recommendation sheet, which says reject all bids.
I don't think there's a problem there.
Yeah, I can see right
So
there.
if you want to make a motion, someone make a motion to reject all bids that were submitted, and vote on that, I appreciate it, and then we can move on to the next part of it.
Also moved.
I'll second.
Yeah. To reject all bids.
Mm-hmm.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passed. Thank you. Now, Global Marina, new design with budget parameters and scope. Exit.
Okay,
I've got
Carl-
exit on my mind. Exhibit.
Carl went back to the drawing, well, not even the drawing board. He has put together renovation scope. We actually have gone over it in our meeting today with the marina people, and Pat and I. You can see a detailed list of items. What it basically is leaving things as is, putting in new hardware, some counters, painting, upgrading lights, replacing doors, doing some painting on the outside, repairing soffit work, basically sprucing it up, and making a handicap accessibility in both the men's and ladies' bathrooms.
So you're going to widen the doors, that sort of thing.
Yes. We discussed it today, right, Pat? We have a couple very talented people here at the port. We might be able to self-perform some of these ourselves, and others will go out to seeing the amount of money that we would be spending would be minor. Minor in the sense that we would not need to go to a contract. We could actually just go to local contractors and say, hey, can you do this for us? Give us a quote, and then do it that way, because it would be under the spending limits. The key to this is that I have a budget, we have a budget, and we will be doing it within the budget. And that would be in keeping with the scope originally by the money for the
What you had.
state, yes. And we would be doing this as quick as possible, because we want to open it as soon as possible. And you really need bathrooms you can open the door.
When we charge for slip rentals, just a functional bathhouse,
We're under a state code too, so you just can't put a marina and operations of the bathrooms. So, you know, we're gonna be, there's a, already, I've approved a upgrade to the Global to put the power over on the other side that Carl recommended. So we're trying to get Global up and operating as soon as possible. The bathrooms are gonna be our stop point. So as soon as I and we can get in there, and get stuff started under Carl's list, the quicker we'll be able to open it. And what we have here is basically, I don't wanna say it, but I will, a refreshing of it. New hardware, lights, doors, paint, that will make it look nice, be modernish, but not cost us over $250,000.
I think that there was a, desire on the board's part to see if we could provide a facility that was significantly better than the existing one. We went out for bid on those, and they came back, well above our budgeted amount. So I would move that we move forward with this scope as presented under Exhibit E, with the idea that as that marina progresses, we could always come back in and revisit further upgrades once we see what the utilization is and what the needs of the customers, patrons would be.
There would
So
be grant
that's a
funding available.
motion. Anybody want to second that? Steve?
So,
So go ahead with your questions and discussion.
I'd just like to add.
I just want to say that I really like the idea, when I was talking about this in the past, it kind of irked me that these bids would come in from contractors that really seem to think they can hold us hostage on these exorbitant prices to do some of this work. And I feel much better really as a resident of Oswego is that we reach out, as Bill said, to these local contractors and get them involved. And that makes me feel that we're doing something for the community. We actually are. We're reaching out to these smaller businesses that I'm sure that will appreciate some of this work. And in the end, if we, I think we're making a lot more bang for the buck using the local business. So I look forward to see the results of this decision. And my boat's gonna be over there, but not until June.
Well, what we discussed today with the marina crew is that we will try to self-perform as much as possible so that we have more money to do other stuff there. I mean, do a little bit better. So if we can save money by, let's say, tearing down the bathroom sinks ourselves and the counters, and then replace them with nicer counter stuff, maybe have a contractor do some. If we can do a lot of painting, could be self-performed. Lights, we might have to bring a local electrician in, but we'll buy the light. There's a lot of stuff we can kind of, get our hands around to reduce the cost so that we can do more. I mean, nicer stuff. So we're gonna do the best we can with the money, and I think that this gives us the ability to move quickly at that area.
so if I'm looking at this plan right, there's no showers in this.
No.
Okay.
It's
Is
not a
there ever,
transient.
is there ever an option to approach the city to see if we could use their shower facilities at their marina?
When you look at a power, okay, this is not a transient marina like the Oswego. We have full laundry, shower, bathroom facilities there because people come in and leave and they need facilities. This is, you park your boat if you're in the area and you go home. It's not, we're not taking,
Yeah, but
they're
that's-
seasonal, okay? So, a shower in this footprint, you saw it.
Wasn't easier to just say, let's go with this now?
Yes, and look
And
at
we'll-
it further.
We'll be able to see what,
Yes.
what the needs are, the renters, and then see if we can be responsive to the.
We can apply for future funding to do those things. Right now, let's get it
Done.
put together
With
and
the
open.
budget. Yeah.
All right. Okay, any other discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Any other new business that's not on the agenda? So we now entertain a motion to move to.
Could I ask the Madam Chair, could we delay that motion until we pass the two motions to accept, then we can put that as your,
05 and 06?
you can change the agenda as
Okay.
the chair.
So that way we can be done with the meeting if we put the executive session last. So we will go to motion 303272405 to accept funding through New York State Department of Transportation for the 2023 Passenger and Freight Rail Assistance Program in the amount of $1,832,320 for an electric rail and mover, Exhibit F.
I'll move it.
Okay, I'll second.
And, thank you.
Just again, a comment of congratulations on getting this done and appreciation to the DOT for its support
And the governor of New York State.
and the governor of the state, great state of New York.
Bill, how did we come out with that exact amount?
And no pennies, and no penny,
I mean, there's no
23
nickels
cents.
or dimes in there.
Okay, when we write a grant, we go on the market and we get budget numbers.
Okay,
Those budget numbers are what's available in the market, then we add a bunch of more money. And how I add it is, I'll add another bunch of money, because it's gonna be a year and a half before it
Wait.
gets here.
yeah.
Yes,
Wait,
it's gotta be built. We take the highest cost that's on the market, and we justify it by giving the highest cost. We add a bunch of money to it, as we think, because we look at the industry and see what the increases are 6 months, a year, year and a half out. And then we put the grant in, and then they review the grant, and they say, you know, Bill, we think you're right, we're gonna give you that
There's a
money.
give and take with you talking.
There is no give and take, they just took our money because they are very confident in the Port of Oswego, not asking for anything more than what we really need.
Good.
And that's a good commercial for us.
There you go. With that said, all in favor?
Aye.
I,
Opposed? Passes. In motion 03272406 to accept funding through New York State Department of Transportation for the 2023 Passenger and Freight Rail Assistance Program in the amount of $2,861,349.27.
Good.
Now, that one was done by an engineer.
I'm going
I'm sure we
27
spent about
cents.
12 hours. No, that's 27.
For additional storage track upgrades in rail car unloading. Exhibit G.
Stan just moved.
Thank you, Stan.
And I'll second it again.
Kit? Discussion, questions?
I got a question for Bill. I mean, give us your 45-second overview of the
27
need.
cents.
45 seconds, you want to put my timer on?
Yeah.
Okay, this is part of our comp plan, our design. Right, Fran? I want to make sure you're still there. Is that what we're doing is we received $5 million from 2 months ago from economic development to add a rail up there. There's 3 rail, now we go to 4. This one is to add another track, goes to 5. We now become being able to handle 90 cars at the Port of Oswego. Why is 90 important? That's a unit train. Now it opens up a whole new market.
This document, as far as the.
And are we off?
Okay, so at 7:50, we are back in regular session. Is there any other, for the good of the order? If not, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make motion to adjourn.
Ed,
Second.
Tom, in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at
I'm having so much fun.
7:52. Or no.